everyone, Linda here, the scrapbooking photographer. Welcome to my channel and thanks for stopping by. Today we're working on a few different things and we're initially taking some inspiration from an old post from Mixed Media Mayhem, which are these Mosaic Tiles. And I'm going to put some different coloured cardstock on vellum soon so you can see that come together. I'm also going back to series 18 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life, and this was day 6 prepared by Paper Route Scrapbooking, and I just love this sketch and it's taken me a while to get to it, but I'm really going to enjoy putting that together, and that makes me smile, as well as the photos I'm using of course, which meets the criteria for this month's topic for the layout library. So what I've done is cut several strips that are a 1/2 inch wide in about 5 different colours I think, and I'm spacing them out on top of the vellum where I can see the Versamat underneath. So I'm leaving about 1/4 inch between each strip, and it is important when you're doing this to put the tape runner all the way down the strip, because when we cut it the other direction we need it all to stay in place. I originally saw this method done by Laura Beecham on her Facebook page, so if you haven't seen Laura's Facebook page, have a look because there's loads of cool techniques there. So I'm finishing up putting the strips on here and finishing with the same colour that I started with, which is a pure fluke. I'll bring the trimmer in and cut them a 1/2 inch wide too, so that matches with the width of the strips, and that gives us the mosaic look that we saw in that Mixed Media Mayhem inspiration. The pieces on the end are a little uneven, so we'll get rid of those, but we've got lots of strips here to work with when we decorate our pieces of cardstock. So starting with a white base, I've got the photos here. I've got 4 little ones of some baking that I did for GBB, which stands for Good Bitches Baking. And I've also got another photo here because we were interviewed by our local rag, and I want to make this page about that. So there isn't that photo in the sketch, but we'll make it fit somehow. The sketch also has 4 pieces of cardstock going from bottom left to top right, and I've got 5 colours. So I've cut a square out of each, which is 5 by 5. And I'll start at the top with this dark red one because it matches the cotton that I've got for the stitching as well. And then I'll bring these in, and I think I'll leave the orange one out. So then it's a matter of lining up the mosaic strips, and I think if I cross over the yellow ones on that corner, then it sort of works out about fine on the 5 by 5 piece of cardstock. So I want the strips to be halfway between the edge of the cardstock that's there and the next one that's coming on top. So I'll just stick these down quickly before I change my mind again. And the easiest way to trim them off is turn the cardstock up the other way and trim it from the back. So I'll just make sure that it's straight there first and then cut them off so that we are all nice and even. And then I'll do the same thing on the ones leading up to the photos at the top. You'll see that I just swapped the order of those colours around. I just felt that the green and the blue were better with the yellow in between them. And so then when I get to the red up the top, I'll put the photos down on that one, and they're 2 by 2 photos. So with a 5 by 5 piece of cardstock, we can even them up quite nicely in the middle. and then I can space things out from the bottom to the top like so, and then I'll just use a little bit of tape runner between each layer so that I can stick them together so I know they're going to fit, and put them to one side as one solid piece while I do a little bit of mixed media in the background. And I can use my pencil just to mark underneath where it's going to sit, and that's much easier to do while it's one solid piece as well, and that saves me putting any mixed media underneath what's going to be covered. And sticking with the mosaic theme, I've got this stencil which has sort of random squares in different places, and using the red ink I'm going to just make a background out of it that's going to come out from either side of our pieces that we've already put together. So I will cover most of this area down on the bottom right, even though I'll probably put a journaling box in there and a couple other things yet to go on there. But rather than come back and fill in the space, it's easier to do it all now. So that sits nicely on top, and because I've got some of these strips left, I can use them to frame the left and the bottom. I'll leave the other sides because it might end up being a double page spread, so I'll keep those strips for when I continue that along. And I can fit that photo in up the top, and just for something a little bit different I'll use a paper clip to attach it. And to bring in some of the orange that we left out of our initial lineup of colours going up the middle of the page, I'll make a journaling box that can just fit down on the right hand side there. You'll see that I used the size of the photo as a guide to make it the same size, and it's fitting in a similar spot on the other side of that lineup, so it fits properly. And I'll use the paperclip idea as well to attach it down there. I will of course put some double-sided tape behind it to secure it more, but the paper clip's a nice extra touch. Then to do some stitching across the bottom, I've got my close to my heart ruler here that I'm going to use to pierce some evenly spaced holes with the piercing tool, and making a hole so that I can stitch through it. So in hindsight it would have been a lot easier to use the piercing tool on top of a piece of sponge, and that would have saved me having to go back and making those holes a little bit more definite. But using the embroidery cotton, I'm using 6 strands all at once, and I'm just going to do a basic cross stitch from coming in behind and going up from the bottom to the top, and then across and back down. You can see how it's working there. So it's a very basic stitch, and it just brings a little bit more of that red colour into the page. When I stitch on material, I don't usually use cotton this thick, but I think it makes quite a bold statement on this page. And in the sketch it goes all the way along the bottom of the page, but I'm going to stop there just as it's crossed over from the background papers, and then I'll just thread it through the back to tie it off, and then tape it down, and the same at the beginning, tape it down so that it doesn't come apart. And then I've put a little bit of washi tape over the top just to hold it all in place. So I'll go away and do my journaling and pop the paper clip on, and then I've got some very old stickers here that I'll just pop 3 down here for GBB, which stands for Good Bitches Baking, and that's a great organisation that runs throughout New Zealand. I think it's overseas as well, where people who like to bake for charities and other people in need. So bake once a month and donate your baked goods to other people. I've got a couple of little puffy stickers here that I'll add in the shape of cake, so it seems quite appropriate, and then we'll be just about done. I hope you enjoyed watching this video come together. It's been in the planning stages for a long time, so it's really nice to get it done and be able to share it with you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. I'd love to have you come along on the journey, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Happy crafting, everyone.